Hi everyone, it's Don. Well, I have a very cautionary tale to tell you. So, airlines have rules that they follow, and you can read in their, headlines, and you can read on their websites that, if their plane is, if you miss your plane and it's because of a safety reason or a cancellation like that, that they will provide things for you, for instance, like food and lodging and transportation, and rebook you on the next flight. And while in a lot of cases that is absolutely true, there are some things that, it's not going to be covered. And this is a very cautionary tale for people who assume it will be and who don't travel with travel insurance. Because there was a couple who was leaving Barcelona flying back to Canada on Transat Airlines. And the big headline is that the couple had to pay $5,000 out of their own pocket after being abandoned by the airline. But that's not really a good and true headline, because they weren't necessarily abandoned. It was now not the airline's responsibility. And let me explain what happened. So let me read the article, that part of an article that was come out, and it was talking about, I'm not going to say their names, I'll just say passengers from now on. That an Air Transat passenger says he was completely abandoned by the carrier after not being able to take his return flight following an illness, forcing him to pay $5,000 out of pocket, reported from CTV News here in Canada. They were boarding the flight on July 10th. The last passengers were still boarding when I became dizzy and nauseous. I passed out in my seat, he told the media. After receiving first aid from a flight attendant and a passenger who was a doctor, the Spanish paramedics tested his vital signs and cleared him to fly. A flight attendant, however, reported to her soon after that the pilot was not comfortable having her on the flight, or whoever was him. Kind of weird wording here. Information about the passenger's condition had been passed on to Medicare, the company that the airline uses specializing in travel and medical support. Air Transat said in a statement to the media, after analyzing this situation and discussing it with the captain, Medicare, like Medair, sorry, not Medicare, Medair, decided that the passenger should indeed not travel. The paramedics arrived shortly after and took charge of the patient's care, said the spokesperson for Transat, but it had already been assessed by the company that this person should not travel. Passengers who are denied boarding for medical reasons should contact their travel insurance provider to cover all accommodations or travel costs. This is a quote from Transat Air, and this is absolutely true. Now, people are going to go and say that they're going to go on the website and they're going to say, for safety reasons, you should be provided with a hotel and you should be provided with this and food and lodging and everything else like that. But no, this is not a safety issue. This is a medical issue that happened on a flight. The flight wasn't in danger of crashing. There was not a danger, like a warning light going off. There was not a storm in their way. There was not a threat of any kind to the airline plane itself. This was an individual's medical reason that they deemed that person should not fly right now. It was now becomes an insurance thing. If you're, it's like if you're going into labor on the plane, they're not going to fly you on the plane, right? If you have a heart attack on the plane, they're not going to keep you flying on the plane. And they are about to travel across the ocean. So you have to see it from the pilot's point of view as well. They're about to travel across the ocean where there is no possibility of landing the plane to provide emergency medical treatment if this reoccurs or something happens to this passenger once again. The passenger can feel they're fine all they want. They probably were perfectly fine, but the captain cannot take that chance without clearance from medical personnel, and the medical personnel the company hired said, no, don't do it. You know, make sure that they're, you know, get them to get looked at and make sure they're good to go. Not just a quick 15-minute check by paramedics in Spain. They don't have to be responsible for this person flying on an 8-hour flight back to Canada over the ocean. So it's a lot of people expect that, sorry, you can't fly because of a medical reason, and we're going to look after you, and we're going to put you up in this hotel, and we're going to feed you, and we'll, even if it takes 3 or 4 days before you're good to go, don't worry about it, we got the costs. We got the costs. That's not how it works. That's why you take out medical insurance every single time you travel. Whether it's a weekend or a 6-month cruise, you have to make sure you're covered, because that was not the airline's problem at that point. Yes, they were denied flying, but the person passed out on the plane. Can you really blame the airline at this point? Right? It's their call. And we weren't there. I know the clients, the passengers feel that they've been wronged, and I can see their point of view. But having a dog in this race, if you will, I have to look at both sides, and I can see both sides. I can absolutely see the airline's point of view saying, we shouldn't take a chance, at least give this person 24 or 48 hours to make sure they're okay. But the passenger is saying, hey, I had to spend all this money and you guys didn't help me, but it really truly wasn't their problem at this point. It really truly was the passenger's responsibility to have adequate insurance. And nowhere in this article does it say anything about insurance, about having insurance, other than the airline said it became an insurance flight, basically. And yeah, cautionary tale once again. I preach this over and over again in travel tips and cruising tips and every kind of tips. Make sure you have insurance. I many times will have double insurance. I have a yearly insurance I buy and I travel with, and then I often buy extra insurance as well, especially if it's an expensive trip or I'm in a foreign country. I like to have that extra coverage protection, because if this insurance doesn't cover it, then this insurance is going to cover it. And I make sure that it's not coming out of my bank account. Just like, unfortunately, it's going to happen to these people, because it's not the airline's fault.